I don't know if we should start. Well, I guess we could just keep going from there. Better.
Perfect.
Okay. Um. So how I feel about everything that happened with Joss Whedon, it's so disappointing. Um. It's so disappointing. I feel like when I heard about all of it, it was just kind of like, okay, I feel like at this point in time, we all kind of know that, like, there's so much happening behind the scenes in Hollywood in general. And, like, I feel like every new show I watch, like, I am starting to always ask myself the question, like, what's going on behind the scenes? You know, like, I wonder how everybody's feeling. And I think that I watched Buffy religiously as a kid, and then I watched it a little bit in high school, and then I think the last time I watched it was, like, 2011. So I took, like, basically a 10-year break from watching it. And then I watched it completely, the entire show. Um, oh, there's Trayvon. Hey, Trayvon.
Hey, Trayvon.
um, so I think that rewatching the show at this age, like during this time, I also kind of noticed, like how much weight like Buffy lost through the course of the series. Like
Oh,
in the
wow.
first like two seasons, especially the first season, like she had some meat on her. She looked great. But then as like the show progressed, she got like increasingly skinnier and skinnier. Um, and she still looked amazing too, but it was just something like I wondered, like I was like, I wonder if that's pressure, if that's like body dysmorphia or what is that. And now that we heard that Charisma Carpenter specifically said that he called her fat, I wonder what he could have possibly said to Buffy. Um, because, you know, even though somebody is a feminist, somebody has made like these incredible, like creative arts that have made such an imprint on women, and like so obviously, I mean, like the last episode, like the finale of Buffy, is about how all these like inner slayers have been awakened. So it's like it's so symbolic, and it's like, okay, so Jazz was really trying to make a point there, but I feel like as much as we want to be, you know, these very powerful activists and play an important role in moving socially forward, like we're still human. We we can still suck massively, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is a crazy thing. And like I think in my head, because I had to deal with that, with Carl Jung, like studying Jung and finding all this crap out about him, and I was like, how can a person, you know, come up with these amazing psychological theories? Like they have had to be like a great person as well. And then you hear about all the stuff that he was doing, and I was like, okay. And I just think that it's a really weird, I don't know if the word is like juxtaposition. I think, yeah, like people can have and make these amazing things and also have this poor behavior. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was so obsessed with Joss. I have a shirt that says Whedonite. Like I was like the biggest. I loved him.
Yeah.
It's like a stake to the heart,
Mm,
you know. But like he gave this commencement address at Wesleyan University,
yeah.
which was his like I think it was his alma mater, and he talks about the contradictions in people in this speech. He talks about how you're whatever you're doing with all your heart, you're also doing the exact opposite at the same
Mm,
time. And I was like, oh my God, that's how he writes his characters. They're so complex, they're so fabulous, you know. But now I see he was really also talking about himself. And
yes.
it's just so crazy. So
Yes. I
crazy.
literally watched that speech because, like, I thought about it, and as I was, like, watching Buffy, I was like, wait, I should watch the speech now and kind of, like, think how it possibly relates a little bit more. So it's so crazy because you're right. I mean, that's exactly what he was talking about is, like, you know, basically being on one path and looking at another path, but also kind of, like, I don't know. For me, I also kind of thought it was, like, having this horrible behavior and also having this really good behavior happening at the same time, or like your intentions kind of being in one place but then what you're actually doing is another. And yeah,
Ooh.
yes.
Oh,
What do you think of like the different like stars like reaction to it?
I mean, so charisma was building upon Ray Fisher, right? Ray Fisher started this whole
Mm.
thing with him coming out about Joss's racism and WB's racism in Justice
Mm.
League. Um, and then he and then Charisma supported Ray Fisher in sharing her story. And then, Sarah Michelle Gellar posted something saying that she loves having Buffy, but she doesn't want to be associated with Joss Whedon. And then Michelle Trachtenberg, who plays Dawn, she commented and posted and said, as a teenager with his not appropriate behavior, and there was a rule on set that she was not allowed to be in a room alone with Joss ever again, which to me is the most
Yeah.
terrifying. That just tells me like who knows what else he did. Um, and then Emma Caulfield has spoken out. James Marsters has spoken out. I believe James Marsters spoke out.
Mm-hmm. He did.
David Boreanaz, he did. Okay, good.
Yeah.
David Boreanaz is quiet. His Instagram and Twitter have become super private now. Nicholas Brendan hurt himself, so he wasn't able to respond. He hasn't been able to make a statement. Um, Allison Hannigan has been silent, which is really crazy. So
Yeah.
it's interesting to see what everyone's doing and saying. It's just crazy.
I agree. I keep like going to David Boreanaz and Allison Hannigan's Instagram just to see. I'm like, did they maybe say something yet? Like, oh, he just spoke out.
What?
Really?
Shut up.
David
That's
Boreanaz
crazy.
did?
What did he say?
I'm like, wait, let me look now. Hold on 1 second.
Oh my god, that's crazy.
It's like I am D Orianus or something is his name on
David
Instagram.
Boreanaz, I don't know. I just look up David Boreanaz.
Oh. No, he just posted something saying social media break in observation of Ash Wednesday and Lent. I will be offline.
Oh.
Oh, he wrote an article, so I guess
Oh wow.
it's not on his Instagram. Oh wow. Damn. Okay. Okay, he's gonna say.
Well, good.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, well that's good. That's good.
But this controversy with Joss, we've also found out that David Boreanaz has a sexual assault controversy,
Right.
and that Joss pushed James Marsters up against the wall and told him he didn't like his character, he was going to kill him off.
Mm-hmm.
Very aggressive. And then we found out Nicholas Brendan has what's it called, domestic
Violence, like
yeah
felony, yeah.
yeah, he hit his girlfriend, I guess. Um, and I feel like there's others that have come out with it's just so crazy.
Mm.
Anthony Stewart Head.
Oh
We
yeah.
have to mention
Mm-hmm.
Anthony Stewart Head. He spoke out and he said that he's just gutted by finding out about this, and that he felt like he was a father figure on set and wishes someone felt comfortable and safe enough to come speak to him so he could have done something, which I thought was really sweet that he said that.
Yeah. I
Oh,
know. I love Giles.
I
It's
know.
so sad. Oh, Sammy sent us the article. Okay.
Oh, love you, Sammy.
So David and James Marster break their silence. Okay, well, I wonder. Well, we saw
Wow.
Spike's because he posted it on Instagram.
Yeah.
But I guess David Boreanaz wrote something on Twitter. Oh wow, it's a long. Okay, I'm like, wait, should we? I don't know if people want to hear this now.
Yeah,
We should
read
about
it.
it. Okay, 1 second. Let me try to go to the most important parts. So David Boreanaz, who played Buffy, rallied behind former co-star Charisma, who detailed. Oh yeah. Other than that, he replied to the actress's post over the weekend, the one in which she accused Whedon of verbal and retaliatory actions. I'm here for you to listen and support you, proud of your strength, is what he tweeted. I know you're there for me, David. And she wrote back, I appreciate all you've done to demonstrate that support privately as well, especially since Wednesday. Okay, you know what I was wondering? I was like, he said, well, I will always be. Oh, this is what Spike said. While I'll always be honored to have played the character of Spike, the Buffy set was not without challenges.
Yes.
Wow. So I was kind of thinking that too. I was like, I wonder, like, what. Oh, hey,
Quinn!
Yeah, I wonder, like, who has been, like, kind of talking to Charisma, like, behind the scenes. Like, who, like, maybe Allison Hannigan is kind of being like, hey, Charisma, like, I'm here for you, even though I'm not being public or something. I guess we don't know. Yeah.
I don't know. This has shown us just how much we don't know.
Right, exactly. And so how do you feel like this relates to kind of, like, I guess the breaking of power structures? Because that's kind of what I feel like, well, that's what I understood from what you talked about astrologically.
Yeah, so that's, I didn't even get deep into it. So Saturn, right? Saturn, how I'm relating it is with Saturn and Uranus. And Saturn, as I said earlier with the echo, that Saturn in Aquarius right now is representing, again, these creating systems of humanitarianism, limiting these establishments, the old truth, maturation of the individual lessons for the rebel, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It has infinite possibilities of explanations. Whereas Uranus on its own represents a newness, a freedom. It's a shock. It electrifies. It shakes up what it touches. And so Uranus and Taurus is the sign of safety, the sign of sensuality, of tangibility, of feeling good, of resources. It's stubborn and it's very concerned with security. So just like we put Saturn and Aquarius together, when you put Uranus and Taurus together, you get a new meaning for safety, a shakeup in acceptable sensuality, advancement of security, changes in what feels good, moving the unmovable. Bitcoin, I think, is like the ultimate example of Uranus and Taurus, because these planets stay in these signs for a good amount of time. Saturn stays for 2.5 years in each sign. I'm not sure how long Uranus stays, and I feel bad I'm not prepared with that. but Uranus has been in Taurus for a while, and it's this innovation. Uranus is technology and Taurus is resources. And so it's this new electronic technological form of money, right? So you can see in Uranus and Saturn on their own these advancements of our society, right? Just like you can see them alone of how the energy is working. But right now they're square, and like I said, they haven't been square since 2000, and that was in different signs. So when the signs are square, they challenge each other. There's friction. And so to like give some examples of what this challenge looks like, it's a friction between the old truth, which is like color blindness. Women are asking for it. Men being given greater value than women, trusting men more than women. And so those are all, manifestations of Saturn and in Aquarius being the old truth. And that's having friction and challenging right now. Uranus in Taurus, which is the new meaning of safety, right? Which is the Me Too movement, the Black Lives Matter movement, right? These are new meanings of safety and accountability. And so they're challenging each other. But there's also, they represent so much. There's infinite explanations for these planets. So Saturn can also represent new systems of humanitarianism being built, right? Which is the Me Too movement and the Black Lives Matter movement. Again,
Wow.
right? And that's it, friction with the freedom of people wanting to stay the same, right? Which is Uranus, which is like Blue Lives Matter. There's nothing wrong mentality and accusations of this is white oppression, you know? That's wanting the freedom to stay the same. And so these are challenging each other, even though, you know, the different sides make up both the planets. You just see these energies kind of conflicting. It's fascinating.
Wow. Wow. That is,
Does that make sense?
yes, it makes sense. Totally. So, okay, wow, that was such a great explanation.
Thank you.
Do you want to go into talking about Marilyn Manson?
Yeah, let's do it.
So, I guess like in that kind of spirit as well, did you see Marilyn Manson's response to these women?
I did, but I didn't give it much value.
Well, I guess, well, in terms of their this opposing energy of like staying the same, there's nothing wrong. Like he basically said to them, like he was like, if this is how you want to interpret our relationships, then it's kind of like that's like your issue if you want to like twist how you saw our relationships, but that's not how it actually went down. Is like
I thought,
basic.
yeah.
And it's like, that's so intense. Like, if you had, like, multiple women come forward and say that you abuse them, like, psychologically abuse them, like, how are you gonna just be like, no, all of you don't see it in the correct light that I do?
I mean, multiple, I would say like 4 of them said, I have PTSD
Yeah,
from our relationship.
right.
To me, it's like if they're saying the same thing, I believe there's value in that. That it's like clear he messed them up.
Right.
Like I think trigger warning, trigger warning. I think, you know, Evan Rachel Wood said that she woke up to him like having sex with her unconscious body.
Wow.
That like that's rape.
Yeah.
That's rape, you know, and that rape we know is traumatizing. And these women have PTSD from him, and for him to just brush that off, I think is just disgusting.
So I think he was married to Dita Von Teese, or he was engaged to Dita Von Teese for a minute, and then like she broke off the engagement, and then I think it was after that that he got together with Rachel Woods, and then she was, you know, the person to initially come forward, and also on Instagram. So it's so interesting how all these celebrities are really using Instagram as a platform to, you know, talk about what's going on and like raise these issues. And I think she said that there was a lot of like psychological torture, more than anything. And I mean, like, not to judge like too hard, but also at the same time, I feel like kind of like looking at him and the types of things that he's like produced and created, like the music videos and the way that he uses like art, it's a little disturbing. I think like it's very creative and he has some good songs, like I'll give him that, but I mean, you would think that somebody who's processing their art into something so dark definitely has to have like a deeper darkness, I think.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, for sure, he's always been, you know, that really like crazy eccentric character. Which is also, you know, it's so relevant because Uranus and Aquarius is ruled by Uranus. So what that means is that they have similar energies. I follow the modern rulerships and the traditional rulerships. You know, different astrologers follow different things. But Aquarius is this rebel, this independent person. It's this unique individual, the weirdo, you know, and he is very Aquarian in that. And then Uranus is also this like erratic energy, this freedom individual. And so it's so interesting that we're talking about Marilyn Manson now when Saturn is in Aquarius and interacting with Uranus. So this is all this very like eccentric energy. It's just very relevant that he would come up now. Because if I think about like who's like a Uranus-y person, who's an Aquarius-y person, I think Marilyn Manson. Now he doesn't have the like reality vision that most people, most Aquarians have. A lot of Aquarians are like humanitarians and truth seekers, but he has the weirdo aspect down pat
Yeah.
and the rebel.
Totally. Totally. Did you ever like his music? Yeah.
I did. Yeah. I mean, I don't think I know a lot of his music, but I definitely remember there was a time I like saw an interview with him or something and really appreciated what he stood for.
Mm.
I remember feeling like he was himself was very like humanitarian, which is so strange
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, I know. I think I saw an interview of his like a while back and I was like, "Oh, he actually seems like a pretty cool person. Sees things in a very unique way that I appreciate." But I feel like now with the way that he responded to the allegations, I think that it bothers me like the thing that bothers me the most when people like like approach the things that they did wrong is that they don't acknowledge how they made people feel. At least, even if they're completely wrong, and just say like, I don't want to comment further on the actions, but for now I just want to apologize for the way I made people feel. Which,
Exactly.
which did you see Justin Timberlake's apology to
I
Britney Spears?
did. I
Yeah.
did. That was well done.
It was.
Well done.
I was like, okay, JT, I'm okay. I'm okay with you.
Yeah. It was a well-worded apology, and
Mhm.
it took accountability.
Mhm.
And I think, accountability is what everyone's looking for during
Yeah.
these super Aquarian times.
Mhm. Yes. So, okay, I didn't put this in the questions, but I kind of wanted to ask you, and I think it totally relates to all these topics as well. Is like a lot of people now are talking about cancel culture, and how do you feel about cancel culture?
I have such mixed feelings about cancel culture. I think it's a really powerful way to make change happen. And it's also so Aquarius because,
That's what I
you know,
thought.
so we've got Saturn in Aquarius, but Jupiter is also in Aquarius right now. Actually, the sun is just moving out of Aquarius today. We're in a big Aquarius season right now. But Jupiter is the planet of expansion. Whatever it touches, it makes bigger. And so we're in this explosion of Aquarius energy. And also with Saturn, we're building this Aquarius energy. We're creating systems that are filled with this Aquarian energy. And Aquarian energy is very much about um, freedom and independence and humanitarianism. And so it's also about the group, right? It's about all the people coming together for this big picture. Like that's what humanitarianism is.
Mhm.
And Aquarius as a sign can also be incredibly detached. So cancel culture is very on theme with Aquarius.
Wow.
You know, the way I see cancel culture is I think it has its value in that it provokes change, it provokes people to look at themselves. But I also believe we need to, especially as an evolutionary astrologer, we need to believe that people and establishments can change, they can
Yeah.
evolve, but they have to do the work in order to be like uncanceled, I
Mhm.
think I think I think cancel culture is very important to make change, but I think you can't just black someone out forever. I think you have to allow room for them to grow and accept them after they've done the work.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's how I feel about it.
I literally feel the exact same way. Literally feel the exact same way. That's like what I would tell people. I'm like, I think it's like important for like to make people feel accountable. I mean, as much as other people can make somebody else feel accountable, but I think it's too unforgiving. Like there's too much of like, oh, you're trying to come back, you're canceled, and it's like, no, you can't really do that.
People grow, they
Yeah.
learn, they change, they grow. People, they evolve,
Mhm.
and you gotta recognize it when they do that.
Yeah.
If they put in work to right their wrong, and to not just right their wrong, but to create a system that will continue to right what they've done wrong,
Mhm.
I think you should let them back in.
Yeah.
You should give them another chance.
I agree. I agree. So let's discuss what happened on The Bachelor.
Oh my gosh. so So, in case anyone doesn't know, because I know you didn't know,
I didn't, but now I do.
So, so The Bachelor, they're in, I don't know, 20 something season, and they're having the first Black Bachelor they've ever had, the first, which is ridiculous. Don't get me started. And one of the contestants who may be the one he picks in the end, her name is Rachel Kirkconnell. There's been a lot of stuff that's come out about her having a racist past. I know there was some liking of Confederate flags, and she went to an antebellum party, like a Deep South party, celebrating the Old South and all this stuff. And she was like, it was for a fraternity. It's just been a lot. And she did issue an apology recently, and I think it is one of the better apologies. But again, you have to walk your talk. So she made the apology. Now show us that you're doing it. But the biggest thing that's come out of it is the host of the show, Chris Harrison. He's been the host of The Bachelor the whole time it's been on. I think he also hosted Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. And so I listened to this podcast called Game of Roses, and we call him Dark Lord Harrison, which should tell you that he's already problematic in himself.
Yeah.
And he was interviewed by the first Black Bachelorette, who was on several seasons ago, and her name is Rachel Lindsay, and she's quite successful now. And it's so interesting that they had a Black Bachelorette, but not a Black Bachelor. I think that's very interesting.
Yeah.
So she interviewed Dark Lord Harrison, and she asked him about Rachel Kirkconnell and the scandal, and he came out saying, you need to give her time to figure things out. This was 5 years ago. It was 3 years ago. He was like, this was 5 years ago. And 50 million people went to Deep South parties like that. And it was 2018. Is this bad from the lens of 2018, or is this bad from the lens of 2021? And he kept talking about the woke police and all this stuff. And Bachelor Nation came back at him. And they said, this is unacceptable. You talking like this is not okay. And he has issued an apology, and he is stepping back from the franchise, which is very huge. Maybe not permanently, but at least for a little bit. So it's big news.
Yeah.
But again, it's this theme, right? It's this theme of these unique establishments, the Buffyverse, the Marvelverse, Bachelor Nation. Marilyn Manson is a house name in himself. He's his own establishment. It's this theme of them being challenged by this new meaning of safety, right? Saturn is the established system, and Uranus is the new meaning of safety. And they're challenging each other. And it's so fascinating to see this play out, and how all of this these systems are finally being challenged. It's just, it's fascinating to watch.
Absolutely. And I think with The Bachelor, I mean, so when I was younger, I think I watched The Bachelor, once. And I was kind of like, oh, I'm like, this is so, predictable. I kind of had all these thoughts about it. I was like, I don't want to watch this. And I think part of why I didn't want to watch it is, it was kind of like this always, good-looking white guy who was looking for beautiful white girl, and it was just there was no diversity in it, and there was no I don't know, it was, to me it felt like something that was unfamiliar, because I always I grew up in Chicago, so I was always surrounded by so many different types of people, so I kind of felt like there was an inauthenticity about it, that I was like, what's the point of watching this? But I see people who love it, and I understand that as well. And now that I'm older, I get it. I'm like, I understand. It's very entertaining. I see people turn moments of it into memes, and it's so funny, and I love it. And so I'm happy now to hear that it's being challenged. Who is the Bachelor? What does the Bachelor look like? Who is the Bachelorette? What does she look like? How does she act? How does she carry herself? And I see that being challenged, I feel like, is going to make a difference in how people see themselves as more or less dateable. If that makes sense?
Yeah, totally. Totally.
Yeah. I think
it's...
Oh, go ahead. You go ahead.
You go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think politics and culture, it plays a huge role in who we date and how we feel about dating.
Yeah, of course. Of course. It's, you know, it's just, it's fascinating. And so I also, to speak on to why you felt it was so inauthentic as a child, is because it is. It's all manipulated by the producers. Nothing is
Yeah.
real. That's not, on Game of Roses, they're always saying, this podcast I love, they're always saying how, like, how everyone's like, oh, we're here to find love, I'm here to find my wife.
Right.
Meanwhile, the producers are doing everything to put obstacles in the way of them actually having a relationship.
Yeah.
Like, it's so inauthentic.
Yeah.
So of course you didn't like it. You're all Capricorn.
Oh my god. You know what show I did love though? Did you watch Flavor of Love?
I don't think I watched Flavor of Love. What was the one after it?
Um
Or was that the one after it? Maybe I did watch Flavor of Love. Was that the one with all the girls?
yeah, it was like Flavor
Yeah, I
Flavor
did watch
Flav and all like the different chicks.
Yes.
It was like,
I did Flavor of Love.
but then there was like spin-off was I Love New York, which was a girl
Yes.
from Flavor of Love. And then there was one with that one rock star dude. Do you remember that? I think he was in Guns N' Roses band. I think. Oh, Quinn said maybe the producers knew about the girl's racist past.
They probably did. They spend months interviewing these people. And in a previous season, when Rachel Lindsay was the Black Bachelorette, they actually picked someone who was a white racist to be a contestant on the show. Because again, they're not helping them find love. They're creating drama for us to watch on TV.
Yes. Wow. Yeah. Oh, Bret Michaels, that's who it was. Yeah, Bret Michaels. He had the show. Oh, I think it was on after Flavor of Love.
I watched Flavor of Love with my roommates.
Okay.
So I wasn't like, know I saw it, but I wasn't like deep into it.
And so Sammy said that I feel like if you compare being a Republican to a Jew in the Holocaust, there's no coming back from that one. Did you hear about that with Gina Carano?
Yeah. Oh, wait, I wrote something about that. Yes, the Saturn-Uranus friction applies to progressive versus conservatives, right? So progressives are fighting for a change in what's comfortable, right? Which is very Uranus and Taurus, Uranus being change, Taurus being comfort. And they're looking to build a new system to hold people accountable to truth and respect for all humans. Saturn and Aquarius, Saturn being the new system, Aquarius being holding people accountable to truth and humanitarianism. And then that's clashing with conservatives who are fighting for the established patriarchy to not question their truth as individuals, right? This is Saturn and Aquarius, Saturn being the patriarchy established, and Aquarius, the right to be an individual. Wow. So, and also, and also they're fighting for their freedom to feel good in the ways they've always done things, which is Uranus and Taurus, Uranus being freedom and Taurus being feeling good and stubbornness. And so you've got this clash of the political climate that we're also feeling everywhere in TV,
everywhere,
in the media, just everywhere, in our lives. In our lives. Are you feeling any of this stuff in your life personally?
Oh yeah. This whole year I feel like I've lost so many friendships and like people who like just can't even like fathom to possibly try and see my point of view. And honestly, it's kind of almost felt the same way at times. Like I'm like, I can't believe you think that, like I've had that thought. And like recently I've tried to be a little bit more understanding of people, because I'm like, okay, wait, let me try and see where they're coming from a little bit more, because maybe part of the problem is that neither is willing to see. And I know like one of my friends, he's conservative and we talk about this stuff a lot, and I try to have conversations with him as best as I can, because we've been friends for so long. So I'm like, okay, let me not let this get in the way of our friendship. And like when it comes to human rights stuff, we're on the same page, but like there's certain things that, and recently we were having an argument yesterday, and he said there's a huge double standard, because he asked me about this whole issue with Gina Carano, and he's like, there's such a double standard, like Lucasfilms literally fired her because of like a couple Twitter posts, I think it was. So they think that she was mocking trans people because in her bio, you know how people put like she, her, he, him. She put put beep bop boop, like R2D2. And so people were like, oh, she's like mocking trans people. And then there was she posted something else about like voter fraud and about like being anti-mask, and then the post about comparing the heated climate in America to, you know, being basically how the Nazis like turned German neighbors on Jewish people, is how she was saying that the government is turning progressive against conservatives. That's what her.
Yeah, I saw that post.
Yeah. And
which it's like the Nazi party is on that side.
Right.
So.
Right. So what side you on?
I don't know. So I don't know if you can really apply that if you're aligned with the Nazi party. Right. So.
And I told my friend, I was like, look, I understand what she was trying to get at, but her comparison was very not intelligent. Like she could have figured out, she could have used a much better comparison, and it would have worked out a lot better for her.
For sure. For sure. Yeah. For sure. Because, oh, God, I can't. Yeah. I can't.
I know.
I'm a Jewish person.
Yeah.
So it's just like, oh.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
It's like, that wasn't good. She literally could have said, like, a lot of powerful entities in the world, which have at some point become a dictatorship, use the tactic of divide and conquer. And look what's happening. She literally could have said that, and I think it would have been different.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always saying a big problem with our country is we only have two major parties, and third, fourth, fifth parties, they're never given a chance. The Green Party, Libertarians, all those other parties aren't given a chance. And it's really created this battle between progressives and conservatives, and those are the only options. And that's why she's feeling this comparison, right? Of like, everyone's out to get her because that's the climate we live in. In Australia, they have multiple parties, and instead of like your vote being thrown away by you voting for the Green Party when that party is just never going to win in the way we vote now, they have a ranked voting system. So you write your number one choice, your number two choice, your number three choice, your number four choice, etc. And then as people get the least amount of number one votes or whatever, that one's eliminated, and then it goes to the next one. And so then your number two vote counts. So no one's vote is thrown away, and it makes the opportunity available for multiple parties. And I think that would really solve so many of our problems, because right now it's just Republicans versus Democrats. And every time a Republican is in office, they undo everything Democrats have done. And every time a Democrat's in office, they undo everything Republicans have done. And we used to be like the most advanced country, and now we have fallen so far behind because we can't agree on anything.
Yeah.
And I think it's this idea of this battle.
Mm-hmm. Do you think... Oh, Quinn said that Maine did it this past election. Oh,
dang.
Oh, that is awesome. I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either. That's amazing.
Do you think that this, like, very heated, like, bipartisan country that we're living in, do you think that is, like, does that kind of go on par with what's happening with Uranus and Saturn as well? It is, like, this kind of, like, wanting to stay the same, like, this kind of, like, love for the past and how things were and don't change it, and then this progressive energy of, like, I guess, like, kind of like this, I guess, like, a utopian type, like, goal. Like, I think that maybe utopia is not possible, but I think that having that intention, that goal for it is important to have. to achieve more social justice. But yeah, what do you think? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, just like I said before, they're both representative of like every time I look at this Saturn Uranus, I mean, even just looking at the planets and not even taking the signs into consideration, it's like the establishment, the old patriarchy is Saturn, and Uranus is newness and change. And what are they called? Conservatives and progressives. Saturn wants to stay to the patriarchy. It wants to keep the old. That's why they're called conservative, right? And progressives want change and newness, and that's why they're called progressives. So you see it even just in the names, this battle between them. And so, they're going to be squaring for a while, and then eventually they're going to meet together. They're going to join together, called a conjunction, and that's when the energies will blend. And I think then, because it's going to happen in Gemini, I wrote down what year it's going to happen. It's going to happen in 2032.
Oh.
So it's a long ways away. But when that happens, I think we might be able to put new systems in place, right? Gemini is about roles, and so maybe we'll have more options, because Gemini is like, there's a lot of options, a lot of different roles, it's variance. I think we'll be able to have a better conversation with disagreements. So we'll see what happens in 10 years, but I believe that will help to resolve some of the issues we're seeing now. But it's 10 years.
I actually was reading that I think it was between 2030 and 2032 is when the sea level is projected to rise.
Wow.
Because the ice caps are going to melt by that time. So I wonder if the issues over climate change are what's going to bring us together.
That would be nice. That would be nice. Hopefully sooner.
Hopefully sooner. That would be great. Is there any chance, like, is there anything astrologically that could possibly point to something of a blending happening sooner?
Well, so the U.S. is going, and this is just the U.S. I mean, we've only been talking about the U.S. Globally. I can't even keep track of the global news. There's so much happening in the U.S. So the United States is going through its Pluto return right now, and it happens like once every 200 years. It's very rare occurrence, and Pluto is all about obsession and power and control and evolution. It's the phoenix. So right now we're seeing an exposure of all of the cracks in our foundation, because Pluto's in Capricorn, and Capricorn is about foundations and, again, the patriarchy. And so we're seeing really the cracks being exposed, and we need to rise like a phoenix out of it. And so I think Pluto hits its exact return in 2024. So I think before then we'll see some big changes, because Pluto is about change. So hopefully we'll see a lot of good changes before then, which will lead to, more of a balance between the old and the new in 2032.
Okay. Damn, so Pluto is why I'm feeling crazy, is what Quinn just said.
Everything is why. Saturn, Uranus too. And it's also your own chart, what planets are touching your own chart,
Yes.
That plays a big role. But also Mercury is retrograde. That'll make you feel real crazy.
Literally, yeah. Literally. I always forget about Mercury retrograde, but like some stuff will happen and I'm like, what's going on in the sky?
Mercury is retrograde, so lots of mishaps, lots of miscommunications.
Yes, for sure. So the last question I have is, what do you hope will come of all these issues being brought to the surface and discussed? What changes do you hope to see? And I guess we kind of answered that last little question, but yeah.
I'm hoping, like I said, for this system where we're no longer battling each other, where we can have multiple facets of government or parties, not government, multiple facets of parties, and not just this Republican versus Democrat. And I hope we can unite and create, this Aquarian vision of everyone being respected, everyone living, not necessarily like in harmony, but in respectability. that's that's what I hope for. But we have to see what happens.
I
You
know.
know, what do you hope to see?
So I think in terms of politics, it's the same. I really do hope the same. I hope that there can be a point where we can have more conversations and like maybe just be willing to live in a state of greater peace with each other and not so much like heated political debate where people can like genuinely have a conversation. But I think in terms of, well, I guess like, you know, between Joss Whedon, The Bachelor, and Marilyn Manson, it's all kind of under the entertainment umbrella. And it's all, you know, for the most part, a problem with like a dude being in charge. And, or a dude kind of being very his power. And so I really hope that this is an opportunity for women to be like, hey, you know, we don't need a male producer. Let's have a female producer, maybe. Or maybe it's like, you know, holding men more accountable for how they treat women in Hollywood and how women are treated as like these kind of trophies in a way, like, and kind of use them as like ways, like they're kind of like assets to men to make them look more powerful instead of, you know, what's actually happening, you know, behind closed doors. So I hope it's just a huge awakening for men in the entertainment industry in general.
For
And
sure.
and I feel like everything with race, like the race issues that have been brought up so much more because of Black Lives Matter. I feel like that conversation has been started and ignited, and I think at the changes that we've already seen, it's just going to continue, and I feel like The Bachelor is a part of that. I hope.
Yeah. Oh, I hope so much.
Yeah.
Oh, I just like let's just live in a world of respect.
Yeah.
I feel like it's not that hard.
You know, it seems really hard for some people. You know, it
Yeah.
really does. But it's like I'm just glad to see that all of this is coming out, that people feel stronger and that people have more courage, especially oppressed groups like such as women, such as minorities, like that people are like, hey, I need to say something, even if it's gonna make my abuser look bad or ruin my chances for work or ruin my image. Like, I think that people are like, my truth is important, is remarkable, and I think that in itself is making changes too.
Totally. Totally.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Yeah. Well, thank you for everything. Thank you for all the info on astrology. I feel like it was so helpful. Like, and I'm glad to have made this video now and that it'll be on YouTube because now I can like look back at it and like, you know, watch it again and understand like, because I'm sure like I've noticed that like people will talk about something and then I look back and hear it again and then I understand certain bits like even more. Yeah. So thank you.
and Saturn and Uranus, they're going to continue to square throughout 2022. You know, they hit today. I don't know if I mentioned that they hit exact today. So today is like the big day for it, and then again they're going to hit in June and again in December. So and even in 2022 they get close again. So you can turn back to it a lot this year.
Okay, good, good. So I guess, well, one last question is like, what can we kind of, or is it possible to kind of think like, what can we expect for this year, if there's any way to tell?
I would say just expect more people to be outed, more establishments to come under question, more movements to come into being, more just more of what we've seen. I think there's just going to be more challenging, more more friction, and you know that'll lead to something. You know, you can't create without without friction. You know, fire is made by that friction.
Exactly.
So hopefully it'll be towards peace and not violence, but we might have a little bit of both.
For sure. For sure. Well, thank you to everybody who was watching so much. I appreciate you. So it looks like we had like six people, 3 likes.
Yay!
So hello to you all. Awesome. All right, well, I'm going to end the stream now. Thank you so much. Okay.
Of course. Thank
Mm-hmm.
you.
Let's see.